Thanks for joining me today with Stamping with Loretta, and today we're going to continue with our series for beginners, and today we're going to do some heat embossing, and for that you're going to need to gather up a few supplies. In your arsenal you would need to go out and purchase, if you don't already have these supplies you need to go buy them. They are essential for heat embossing. You're going to need one of these little sandbag things. Stampin' Up! Has them. They're called Embossing Buddies. You can buy them at the craft store. I don't know if you can see that little bit of stuff coming off. It's like a powder. I have no idea what's really in these, but they work. You're going to need a Versamark watermark pad. This one is new. Nice and clear and pretty. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this. Be prepared. That's what they look like over time. You just get gunked up. You forget to clean off a stamp. It doesn't affect them at all. If you inherited one that looks like this, by all means use it. I will be using this one today. I just wanted to let you see what a actual one looked like. You're going to need some embossing powder. Now this one is in a big tin, tub, whatever you want to call it, and it's black detail embossing powder. I emboss quite a bit, so I have a lot in one little container, so I have to just pour out what I want and then pour it back in. Normally speaking, if you get embossing powder at the store, it comes in little containers like this, and this is perfectly fine. This one's silver, that one's black. We'll use them both just so we can see some comparisons for that particular part of our project. And just like with our last project, since a lot of people can't afford or do not have Copic markers or even other watercolor markers of their choice, you really should have a good set of, color pencils, which is what we're going to use to color these two images. And so I'm going to gather up a couple more things and we'll get started. I keep forgetting where I put my little remote. Silly. Okay. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, one other thing you really are going to have is a heat embossing tool. This one is from Nicole. As you can see, even though this heat gun is only a couple weeks old, as far as living with me old, it's really stained up because I'll grab it when I've got wet hands and paint on them or glue, and they will look like this. It doesn't hurt them. Now, I will tell you this. This is only a personal preference. There's Velcro on the back of my heat gun, and there's also the other side of the Velcro on the desk where I stamp. It's on the leg, so that way I can just peel it on and off. It doesn't fall on the floor. It doesn't get squashed if I accidentally drop it. I know where it is. It's attached, so I don't have to worry. It's always plugged in and ready to go. Now, I haven't used it this morning, so it will take it a minute or two to get warm enough to melt our embossing powder. Okay, I'm going to set the camera and we'll get started. Alright, to begin, we have our cardstock, which is Express It from Copic. It's not Express It ink, it's just Express It cardstock. We're going to take our sandbag and we're going to go over the entire surface, our embossing buddy, like I said, whatever you want to call this thing. What it does is it gets rid of any static on the paper so that your embossed powder only goes where you want it to go. You should have very clean, dry hands for this. No oils, no lotion on your hands, ladies and gentlemen. You want your hands as clean as you can get them. Okay, we're going to take our friend, the Versamark ink, and we're going to stamp into it. Now, this ink is sticky. I don't know if that really shows that well, but it does. It's sticky. That's what it's supposed to do. So I'm going to stamp this one and this one. Now you will see this image on this paper only because this pad is so dirty. Okay, so I'm going to put my top back on my Versamark. Always, 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 always put your top back on your ink pad, especially if it's an embossing ink. If you don't, you're going to have a hot mess that you can't fix, because if powder gets stuck in here, it's stuck. It's never coming out. You can't just wipe it off. Okay, we're going to take our black embossing powder. I don't know if there's a spoon in here anymore or not. I don't think there is. Yeah, there it is. I purchased this little tiny spoon from a store that was in a stamp show a few years back. It reminds me of a little tiny Barbie doll witch's spoon or something, I guess. Okay, we're just sprinkled just a little bit over the top of our images. And I'm going to pick this up. And I'm just going to, oh, maybe I should get that in camera for you. We're just going to dump that back in. Thump the paper just a couple of times. And as you can see, it has powder on it. Now, there's a couple places that didn't really take the powder very well, so I'm just going to go back over those real quickly and dump that off. Okay. Alright, now I want to repeat that process, except this time we're going to use a different embossing powder. This is the silver, and it's made by Ranger. I like Ranger products as a general rule. They're nice to work with. So there's the owl, and here is the flower. And we're going to put that top right back on. Now, just a second ago, I accidentally put my arm through this black embossing powder. So I'm just going to put some right on that little spot real quick where I knocked it off. And dump that back into my jar. And put the lid on. Okay, now we're going to take our embossing powder. Like I said, this is silver. And we're going to sprinkle it on here. I'm just going to dump it. And if I had a coffee filter, I would be doing this over a coffee filter. But I actually don't have any right now, which is unusual for me. Put that down. Put our top back on it. Always, always screw your tops on completely. You don't want this spilled all over the place. It's not something you want to go chase with your vacuum cleaner. Alright, I do have my heat gun. Saw a little bit of fray over here. Let me just dump that off. And we're going to begin. Let your heat gun warm up a little bit. When it starts feeling a little warm to your hand, it's probably ready. You don't want to be real close to your image, but you want to be close enough. And it will start changing pretty quickly as that powder melts underneath the heat of your heat gun. As you can see that once your heat gun gets hot, this process goes very quickly and your image embosses really, really nicely. Don't get too close and keep moving around. Now at this point, what you want to do is look at the image from a couple different angles just to be sure you didn't miss anywhere. If it's matte in color and not shiny like that one is right there, then you've missed something. So you need to go back over that little portion with your heat gun. The owl's wing right here is not heat set enough, so we're going to reheat that. Just like that. I'm going to see if I can get this a little closer for you. The other way. There you go. Okay. And I'm going to use my Stampin' Up! Punches. These are Punch Pal stamps from Stampin' Up! And line this up. This is a large scallop circle. Eyeball it and punch it. And then this is the owl punch. This came out a long time ago. I don't know if it still is a active punch or not. Some of you Stampin' Up! Girls will have to let me know. but they are made to layer on top of these images just perfectly. Just like that one. Punch it out, I hope. There it goes. And we'll do it again for the silver one. I should have put this little owl, silver owl, a little bit further away from its neighbor. Just because of the nature of the punch. You do want to eyeball it so it has a nice border and you don't like lose his feet. And we're not going to get the silver scallop just because of what I said. I didn't give enough room between the stamped images. So to do that, here is the punched out embossed owl. For those of you who have little Google eyes, if you want to put those in his where his eyes are, that would be really fun to do. Thanks for joining me today with Stamping with Loretta. I appreciate you hanging along with the beginner series. This is number 2 in my series of stamping and crafting for beginners. I meant to show you this to you the last video. This is what it looks like on my shirt. I do have a pair of scissors that do have a shield on them, as you see. When you're not using your scissors, they should have a shield. Don't leave it on your shirt when you're driving. Use reasonable caution. I hate having to say that because it seems so stupid to have to tell people, but apparently there are some people in this world you have to remind, and sometimes that's me. So with that being said, have a great day. I really hope that you guys can try these projects. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.